Good afternoon, morning, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mikhail, and welcome to round number 10 for the Americas Division here in MRL Season 4. Joining me, as always, is my fellow countryman, Stars. Stars, how are you doing today, mate?
Good morning, Macau. Mate, I'm doing great. Looking forward to another America's Division race around the French GP. Feeling very good. Hopefully you are as well, and everybody in the chat who's joining us today.
Yes, a circuit now on your screens. 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles, 15 turns, 6 to the left and 9 to the right. These two DRS zones hopefully going to assist in some overtaking action. And it is a very, very fast circuit and a circuit that is very, very hard on the tyres. Isn't that right, Stars?
It is indeed, and we'll be talking more about that later on in terms of the tyre strategy.
Yep, so now a quick look at the calendar, where we've been, where we're going to. So this is round number 10 for the French GP. We've already been to Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam, China, the Netherlands, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, and Canada last week. Unfortunately, no racing action next week because we are on our Easter break, but we'll be right back the week after with Austria to round off the season with Austria, Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Russia, Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, and then closing out the season in Abu Dhabi. And before we get on to the standings, just a quick shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking to take your sim racing experience to the next level, with some amazing sim rigs, exclamation mark NLR in the chat, or you can check out their website in the panels below. They've got a great selection of rigs regardless of your price point. Now, Stars, let's have a quick look before we get things underway at the current championship standings. So Becky B, the man on fire for these past few weeks, 174 points, well clear at the front of that Drivers' Championship, ahead of his teammate Alex Yamamoto in the second Williams car with 113 points. Rhapsody currently on the third place spot with 87 points, and then BTFU rounding off the top four with 73 points in that AlphaTauri. Then we have Aphrodite with 59 points in that Renault car, then Arnhel in that Racing Point, 42 points, 1 point ahead of Sejos in the McLaren, so better keep an eye on those two throughout the race. Zamis up to P8 in the standings after an amazing performance last week last week in Canada, picking up that runner-up spot. Hopefully he's able to continue that run of good form, and if anything is, if the pass is going to go by, we should expect great things from the Ferrari driver. Cedrus, 34 points in 9th place in the second runner car, and Maxime B rounding out the top 10. Then we have Tom Hawk, Carmel, Mexena, Vischer, Cherry, Stryfium, Larkino, Gorzieg, and then still Cappy and Holtzman yet to score 9 rounds into the season. Now, quick look at the Constructors' Championship. Williams, a clear favorite ahead of AlphaTauri. Over 100 points separating those two teams. Williams with 287 points. AlphaTauri with 170. A bit of a gap then back to the Renault squad in third with 97. But there are some very close team battles. And the one that catches my eye, Stars, is the one between Ferrari and Haas for 7th position in the Constructors' standings at the moment. Just 1 point in it, with Ferrari having that 1 point advantage.
Yeah, you're not wrong, because, I mean, obviously now we're coming into the midway section of the season, slowly getting there. Obviously now we're starting to understand all the drivers amongst the grid. We're starting to understand their skill level, where they are at as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who really starts to put the foot down, so to speak, and really start to pull away in the drivers and also the constructors. Obviously, as you mentioned before, Becky B having a really good start to the season with a commanding lead at the moment. So yeah, have to keep an eye on this midfield battle, because we say it every week in the races. It's extremely close, and showing that in the constructors as well.
Just loading into the session now. If you're just joining us, welcome. You're just in time. This is MRL Season 4 action for the Americas Division, round number 10, around the Circuit Paul Ricard here on the Castellet. My name is Mikhail. Joining me is my fellow countryman, Stars from the Great Land Down Under. It's a very, well, at least sunny for me. I don't know how it is for you, but a sunny Wednesday afternoon for us here. But looking forward to some great racing around this Very unique circuit. Still one of the later additions to the F1 calendar, coming back in, I believe it was 2018. I could be wrong, and stars, the clouds are certainly out here to play.
They are indeed. It's quite dark out there for the drivers. Hopefully we get a weather report relatively soon, and I can keep you updated in terms of our weather.
Yeah, I don't see any raindrops, but certainly very, very overcast. We'll run you through who will be driving on this grid, because I do believe we do have a couple of reserve drivers filling in. So Gorzieg in that Mercedes, currently number 1 on the timing tower. Then we have Maxime B in that McLaren, Becky B, the current championship leader, in that Williams car, Vischer for the AlphaTauri as well. Larkino, Tomahawk, Aphrodite, BTFU, Sejos, and Zamis. We have Yama and then Will Gibson, who will be filling in for Cedrus, I do believe, in that second runner seat to partner Aphrodite this evening. Max Senna, Cheery, Carmel, Holtz, Rhapsody, Giants 14, who will be filling in for Arnhel in the second Racing Point seat. And then Cappy and Stryfium on the grid today. So 20 drivers, which is always what you want to see. And we already have some cars out on the track.
We do. I have been told from the weather expert Gorzieg himself that it will be a dry affair around the Paul Ricard circuit today. But as we do see, as you did mention, some drivers coming out now. Most drivers are coming out of the pits. We do have Vischer, the AlphaTauri driver, who's going to be starting his lap relatively shortly on those medium compound tyres, which is a little bit of a surprise, so to speak. Isn't that right, Mikhail?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about what the strategy is around here, because the soft to hard and the medium to hard strategy are both doable. You can do that one stop, and you want to be doing the one stop around here because that pit lane is very long and very slow. The speed limit, I believe, being 60 kilometers an hour or 37 miles. Those of you in the States. But enough about that. Medium compound tires for the Chilean in that AlphaTauri car. Stars take us around a lap with Vischer around the circuit for Ricard.
Yes, we will. The AlphaTauri driver, the first one to open up proceedings, he goes all the way down into turn at number 1 there. Does miss the apex ever so slightly because you want to take turn 1 and turn 2 pretty much as straight as you physically can by using all those apexes. But needless to say, up to about 310 kilometers an hour before he comes down to turn 3 and actually cuts turn 3 a little bit too much there. So that is going to be an invalidation, unfortunately, out of the Chilean driver, especially on those medium compound tyres. I guess we'll just move back. Yeah, go back to onto Yama. So obviously Yama's coming around turn at number 6 at the moment into turn at number 7. Does use all of that entry curb and exit curb. Basically, want to keep that car as straight as possible without weaving as he's currently doing, because he's obviously trying to invalidate his lap because he doesn't want to set it. I mean, we may as well just stay on board with him at this point because most drivers are going to be doing that. So it takes the 8-9 chicane quite nicely indeed. Very important to get onto the throttle here because it's a very long uphill straight, and you want to be obviously taking the car as fast as you physically can, flat out for turn number 10, and then you come into probably one of the trickiest corners on the track, the double apex, turn 11. Very, very late second apex there. You obviously want to be trying to take that as quickly as you can. The Haas driver does move out of the way there just before turn number 12. You can ride this inside curb all the way down into turn at number 14 as quite nearly shown by Yamamoto, and then he brings it around turn number 14. Turn number 15 to finish his first flying lap of the session. I would actually say it's flying because he is invalidating. He's just putting a time on the board, a 128.1 invalidation. So yeah, it looks like most drivers here are going to be doing the medium to hard strategy, Mikhail.
Well, we do have one soft time on the board so far, and it's the only time to be set thus far in the session. That does belong to Aphrodite in that Renault, 1 minute 28.461, and judging from that time, I do believe that is a push lap. Rhapsody and Zamis also setting times, but I don't think those are really representative on the times that we're expecting from those two. Rhapsody coming across with a 1 minute 29.64, or 673, I should say. Zamis with a 1 minute 30.289. Max Senna coming across the line just a few moments ago. 28.479. Only 0.02 of a second between our two front row sitters at the moment. Giants 14 in that Race Point Reserve, making his MRL debut. Currently 4th place at the moment, right behind his teammate by a good 800th of a second. He's got 8.987, and Tomahawk with a 1 minute 28.901.
Yeah, times are coming in thick and fast. On board with Karma at the moment as he does come around turn number 14 to turn number 15 here. Does look like a push lap as well. So he might be going for maybe a soft, hard tyre strategy here as he does cross the line. It is going to be P number 3, a 128.484 for the Haas driver.
So that's 200ths, more or less. 200ths that separate our top 3 at the moment. And another 200ths back to Tomahawk in that 4th place. So, wow, that is very, very tight indeed. So, lots of competitive times already being set. But like we're seeing, there's not a whole lot of drivers actually going for some valid soft runs. I believe that was one of the
we do actually.
Cheery on
Sorry,
the
Miguel. Yeah, he's obviously put in a real quick time there, 147.6 on the intermediate, so maybe he's going to be starting on the inters today. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, it certainly would be a very interesting strategy call. I think he's actually just trying to save a set of tyres for the race, because safety cars, while you wouldn't expect them to come at a track with so much runoff compared to what we've been seeing the past few weeks, it certainly is possible. We didn't have any in Tier 3 earlier today, but we have had some in seasons past, and I also have some personal experience with safety cars ruining my race around the circuit for Ricard, because there are some very fast corners, and some of these curves can really fling you the wrong way if you are a bit too inviting with them.
Yeah, you're not wrong there at all. Very easy to invalidate at some parts around the track, as we did just see Vischer, who went on his 3rd lap of medium compound tyres now, slots himself into P number 6, but the only driver who's currently on the track at the moment on a flying lap is the Holtzman in the Alfa Romeo racing car at the moment, as he's making his way down the very long first straight around this French GP circuit into the chicane of 8 and 9. It's going to be interesting to see his Sector 2 split at the moment, see how it compares to Astrodiet. Apparently it's a purple sector, but I can assure you it is not, because he's roughly about 5/10 down on Astrodiet's first or second sector split as he makes his way into, as we did mention, for the double apex corner of turn at number 11. The Holtz hasn't really proven himself yet this season in the Americas division. Hopefully this is where he does turn things around. He is looking to move himself up the ladder today in terms of the standings as well as on the track. He did mention earlier this week that he does have a lot more time in the bag, has been unfortunate in the last couple of races, so it's going to be very interesting to see what time he does put on the board on his first flying lap. He's actually P number 4, has made up a lot of time in that last final sector of a 128.787. So should be quite happy with that first lap out of the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, 2 drivers to keep your eyes on definitely are the Holtz and Cappy. Both of them yet to score a single point in the Drivers' Championship thus far, and Gorzieg also only scoring 1 point, which I do believe came at Monaco. So, a lot of things to prove on this grid. Also very curious to see how our 2 reserve drivers of Giants 14 and Will Gibson will slot themselves into this pecking order. Currently 9.25 minutes remaining in the session. Astrodiet, your provisional pole sitter, but only half of the grid yet to set times, and I believe only 7 drivers, if that, to set serious times.
Yeah, I think everyone's waiting to the last couple of minutes to go out, maybe with 2 laps worth of fuel on those medium compound tyres. We do have a couple of drivers who are starting their next run of laps. We did have Yamaha purposely invalidated just before he crossed the line to begin his next lap, and we are on board with Becky B, who also does invalidate there. So I think drivers are just putting a bit of rubber down on the track, you know, hopefully try and make it a little bit grippier and quicker when they do come along for those medium compound tyres.
Yes, most definitely. Becky B, I think if we see him complete this lap, it'll be a good indicator of where the pace is. He's told us last week in the interviews that he's not as confident here as he has been in weeks gone by. Monaco, Baku, and Canada, he's saying, he told us, are definitely some of his better and more favorable circuits. France is nothing like them. Lots of medium or high speed corners as he makes his way down the, well, through the final sector of the lap, through the final two corners. Losing the rear a little bit out of turn 15, DRS open up to the line. What is the time going to be for the young American? It's a 1 minute 27.287. That would put him on pole by over 1.2 seconds. So the pace is definitely there, but definitely keen to see what he's able to do on the medium compound tires come the end of this session, Stars.
Yeah, you are right. Ironically enough, Mikau, if he actually did set that time and not purposely invalidate, that would have been a new MRL world record taking over from Yoda at a 127.3. So just goes to show the drivers have really picked up a bit of pace here as we do have a couple more coming across the line. Striffium and the Ferrari goes into P number 10 on the soft compound tyres of 129.7.
Yeah, solid effort from him after what probably was a very disappointing Canadian Grand Prix. I know how much he loves that circuit, but he does have a few points to his name, particularly from that race around Azerbaijan, if I'm not mistaken, where he got a solid haul there. We'll jump back on board, I think, BTFU's coming across the line. I think he's actually starting a lap, Stars. And BT, one driver to definitely keep your eye on. He, in seasons gone by and in other leagues that we've seen him participate in, has shown a lot of pace around the Paul Ricard circuit. So maybe this is the opportunity that he needs to really slingshot himself back towards the front of the grid after what has been quite a tough couple of races, Stars.
Yeah, he showed a lot of potential coming out of the first couple of races, really battling with Becky B for that championship in the first. Actually did take first place in the championship for a little bit there, but obviously we hit those street circuits and yeah, it all went downhill there, unfortunately, for the AlphaTauri driver. So hopefully this is his week to bounce back.
So Maxime B heading into the pit lane. Bit hard to see who's actually on a flying lap at the moment. I do believe
Vischer should be crossing the line at the moment.
Vischer down in P9 so far. He will be crossing the line to start his next attempt, this time on the Red-walled soft compound tires. And whoa, Astrodite has been disqualified from the session.
Yeah, he was parked just before turn number 1.
Yeah, our provisional pole sitter has been disqualified from the session. He will be starting dead last. Maybe if that was intentional to get off the medium tires, we will never know. Or to get off the soft tires, I should say. But that certainly is quite the development. So that Renault will be starting from the back of the grid, regardless if he likes it or not. Vischer having a purple first sector, according to the track map. Currently now the provisional pole time set by the Mexican in that Red Bull Mech Center in 1 minute 28.479. It's another purple sector through the middle section of the lap. Let's see how Vischer goes, heading into the double apex of turn 11, really just letting the car roll through and just feeling the downforce, feeling the grip in the setup of that Formula 1 car. Turn 12, a blind apex left-hander, very hard to spot. Quite a technical corner striffer making his way into the pit lane now. A little bit early for turn 14, if I do say so myself, and misses the apex of turn 15. So definitely a little bit of time left to find in those final two corners in Vischer's final run. What's the time going to be? It is going to be provisional pole with a 1 minute 27.848 for the AlphaTauri driver. So very, very nicely done.
Yeah, I think two drivers we've got to keep an eye on, Karma and Vischer. They had their first races, or their first race I should say, last week around Canada, and they showed unbelievable pace. Very, very quick drivers. Vischer obviously managed to rack up a lot of pens. He had a good time doing it apparently, so he dropped down the order a little bit, did score a couple of points, but Karma, podium on debut. So have to keep an eye on him. He did invalidate his time as he comes into the pit, so he's getting ready for those medium compound tyre run.
Yes, we're seeing quite a few drivers now exiting the pit lane on those medium compound tires. We're currently looking at the Williams of Alex Yamamoto, yet to set a time in this session on those yellow striped medium compound tires. Runner-up in the championship thus far, and a multiple race winner so far this season, winning in both Spain and Baku, I do believe, if my memory serves me right. Someone in the chat could correct me if I'm wrong. But we will go on board for a full lap on these medium compound tires. And I think this is a strategy that quite a few of these drivers will be going for. So up through the gears now, down the start, finish straight to start his lap. 2.5 minutes left in the session. Turn 1, really attacking that inside curbing. Turn 2, maybe a little bit late with the turn in, but he keeps it within the track limits. It's very easy to invalidate your lap at the exit of turn 2. Now into turn 3. 4, using all of the curb, really trying to attack it as much as the tires will let you. Third gear for turn number 5, short shifting up to 4th and then 5th again through turn number 6, trying to get on the power as early as you can through the flat out left-hand kink of turn number 7. And then you come down the long back straight. Curious to see if anyone's going to try a toe in this final part of qualifying. Yet to see that just yet. About 90 meters down into turn 8. Turn number 9 now. It's all about the exit, trying to get on power once again. There's a little dip halfway between the curbing where all the grip is. Purple middle sector for the Williams driver through the flat out right-hander of turn number 10 and now into the double right-hander of turn 11. The first apex looks quite clean. 5th gear for the second apex. A little bit snappy on the rear of that Williams and he gets it under control. Turn 12 now, really missing the apex there, but he gets on the power nice and early through the right-hand sweep of turn 13, turn 14. A little bit of a lock on that rear left, but it seems to have kept it under control. Now into 15, getting on the power as early as you can. DRS wide open, keeping the car tight to the left-hand side for the shortest run up to the timing line. And what's it going to be? It's going to be 5th place for the Williams driver, 1 minute 28.705. And compared to the times that we were seeing in Tier 3, 2/10 faster than what Atom was able to do just a few hours ago.
Yeah, not a bad lap there by the Williams driver, just on board with the other Williams driver. We do have a couple of drivers in between, but I'm curious to see he's done the exact same sector split as Yamamoto. So the Williams drivers are really cutting it fine here at the moment. So it looks like Rhapsody's 128.6 could be very testing to beat at this point in time for the medium drivers. So yes, as Becky B does come around, turn number 13 doesn't miss the apex like Yamamoto did, so he's going to maybe pick up a 10th there at all. So if he can finalize these last couple of corners, could be on for potentially a P number 4. He does get on the power nice and early out of turn number 15, up through the gears, keeps the car as straight as possible all the way to the left-hand side. DRS wide open, runs out of ERS deployment, puts himself into P number 4 with a 128.4. That's a very quick lap on the medium compound tires, I should say, and it's a 128.5 to be, if we're going to be exact.
Well, the checkered flag has now dropped, so that'll be the final time that Becky B will be able to set in this session. Vischer calling his session to a close. Mex Center into the pits. I think we'll have a look now. It looks like Holtz is currently on a flying lap as well. We better keep an eye on him. There's a racing point about to cross the line. It is the reserve of Giants 14. What can he do? Can he find an improvement? No, he cannot on those medium compound tires. The best he can hope for is that 9th place. Next up will be the second reserve driver of Will Gibson, currently 13th in the Renault on those medium compound tires. He shoots up to 3rd on a lap of the soft, so 1 minute 28.368. Very, very nicely done from him. It looks like Tom Hawk has actually spun it at the final corner. So very unfortunate there for the Racing Point driver. He will not be improving. The best he can hope for is that 11th place. BCFU retiring from the session just a few moments ago. And now all eyes on at this Alfa Romeo. Can he find an improvement in this time to jump some of these medium runners up to cross the line? 8th gear. What's the time going to be? It's 3rd position for the Canadian in that Alfa Romeo. 1 minute 28.255, 300ths off of the flying Mexican. Cheery calling it quits in the pit lane. And stars, that is our grid for this French Grand Prix. And what a shuffle up of positions that we have.
Yeah, that was insane. A lot of drivers there going for this soft strategy right towards the end. Unfortunately, do want to point out the one driver that we gave a little bit of a rap to, which we thought might be coming out thick and fast for this week, has put himself in a terrible qualifying position of pin number 19, BTFU.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on him, but it is his teammate, the Chilean Fisher, on pole position with a 1 minute 27.848. Max Senna alongside him in the Red Bull, some 3.5 tenths behind, and then Holtz with his best qualifying of the season so far, round off the top 3. Then we have Gibson in that Renault reserving Fillion for Cedrus, and then Carmel will round off the top 5 of the soft runners, and we will go through the rest of this grid on the formation lap. But Stars, 27 laps here at Le Castellet. Of a very, very long 27 laps at that. And some very, very mixed up tire strategies. So if you're in this back 10, what are you going to go for?
I mean, it's tricky because I personally feel if I was going to start outside the 10, I'd probably start on the hard compound tires and then finish on the quicker mediums. Or you could actually probably do softs. Softs might even be a little bit easier. I know it's tricky. At the end of the day, I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait and see. But I personally would go hards to mediums. It's a safe strategy, and I personally think it's the quicker one. Just depends if you think you're going to get wing damage or not. If you think you're going to keep it out of harm's way, then sure, you can probably just start on the mediums and hopefully work your way up through the grid, get a bit of track position, and then, yeah, if safety car comes out, then pop into the pits and you haven't really lost too much position on track.
Yeah, we saw some of that shenanigans in the Tier 3 race between particularly Yasko and Gadwin, both of them showing some great pace throughout that Tier 3 race, starting on those hards. But unfortunately, Gadwin picked up wing damage and he finished outside the points. Yasko, he didn't get wing damage and collected a P2. So hard to medium, definitely a very, very fast strategy. We'll get the tires up on your screen now. Just as I double checking a few things. All right, we are still good to go. So tires on this grid as we run you through the grid order. So the top 10, Vischer, Max Senna, Holtz, and Gibson will round off the top 4, and Carmel will round off the top 5, starting on those soft compound tires. Then Becky B, the championship leader, the lead runner on those medium compound tires, qualifying in the 6th. Rhapsody right between himself and his teammate in 7th in that Mercedes car, and then Yama in the second Williams car in 8th. Maxime B on the mediums in 9th place, and Giants 14, the last of the top 10 on those soft compound tires for Racing Point. In the back 10, Tom Hawk starting on those mediums in 11th place, Zamis in 12th, also on the medium tires. Just going for those hards in 13th for the McLaren squad. Cappy in 14th, also on those mediums. Then we have Chiri Strifium as well, 15th and 16th respectively on those mediums. Larkino in 17th on the hards. Gauzier in 18th on those mediums. And then the back row filled out by BTFU and Astrodite on the hard compound tires. So a very, very pretty even split actually between the 3 tire compounds. We have a few guys on the hards, a few guys on the softs, but the majority of these runners on the yellow striped medium compound tires. 27 laps ahead of us around this wonderful circuit. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is MRL Season 4 America's Division Action. This is round number 10 for the French Grand Prix. My name is Mikhail. Joining me is Stars. And with some of these drivers out of position and the softs still being quicker for at least the first 2 laps of the race compared to the mediums, it's going to really put a lot of pressure on some of these guys who are a bit more buried in the pack, specifically those guys who qualified on the medium compound tires in that mid part of the top 10.
You're not wrong there, Mikhail, as the last couple of drivers do take their grid positions. We are ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Here we go.
Yes, we see BTFU and Astrodite taking their grid slots. All the cars getting shuffled back into position. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Le Castellet. It's lights out and away we go. Looks like it's been a pretty decent start for Carmel and Holtzman as well, having an amazing start. He's already up into P2, but Vischer holding the lead. Into turn 1 we go, side by side for the Alfa Romeo and the Haas driver. Going into the first sequence of corners. There's Red Bull round. There's also McLaren around as well. I think That might be Maxime, and there's a whole lot of carnage at the back end of this grid. Yellow flags through sector 1. There's Stryfium off in the wall. Giants 14 and Maxime B also into the wall at the exit of turn 2, and we have a safety car on lap 1 of this race. Wow, and Becky B, 5 seconds for a severe collision with Rhapsody as well, so the championship leader losing a position to Rhapsody off the start. At least a net position on those medium compound tires, and he has a 5-second time penalty to serve in the pit lane as well, Stars. So a horrible start for some of these drivers on this grid, but a driver who's going to be very happy as we get up the positions gained is going to be Aphrodite. 9 places up in the first sector, and Holtzman and Carmel as well, picking up 1 and 2 places apiece in that second and third position. Yeah, Zamis, C-Joss, Cheery as well as BTFU, all up a significant number of positions on this opening lap, Stars. But what a crazy start to this French Grand Prix.
Yeah, unbelievable first start there. Turn 1, turn 2 is always very tricky, and with obviously everyone on different tyre compounds, at the end of the day it is just so tricky to know what's going to go on there, as we did see Vischer actually come very late into the pits there. I'm not too sure if he came in illegally or not. Yeah, so it looks like the soft compound front runners are deciding to come in. Maybe it's a medium to the end. The hards definitely won't go to the end here. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be medium to the end for these drivers. So they've lost out on a little bit of track position. Well, I mean a lot of track position. So it just goes to show, you know, qualifying is pretty important.
Maybe not as much as you might be thinking, because there is a lot of activity in the pit lane. Racing Point's even having to do the double stack. Oh my goodness, that Giants is not going to be happy. He is not going to be happy about that one. Front wing change as well. Getting on a fresh set of medium combat tires, but there is a safety car to help them for these drivers who have pitted. So Vischer coming out in 12th place on those fresh softs. Carmel onto the hards. Now I do believe some idiot, Cody, a very, very fast driver and multiple race winner, leader of the Pirates here in the MRL, has said that hards can, with a big asterisk, can do the whole race. There is a safety car to help prolong the life of those tires, but I really don't think that's the best strategy to go for. But it is an option. It is an option there for the Haas driver. Holtz leading the race on those soft compound tires. Rhapsody in second. Becky B in third with that 5-second time penalty. Then Yama in fourth. Zamis up to fifth. Sejoss into sixth. Churi into seventh. And Aphrodite from starting 20th on this grid up into 8th place. And his fellow back row compatriot, BTFU, in 9th place right behind him, Star. So those two have made out like a bandit. And Yama picking up a 5-second time penalty for a collision with his teammate.
Well, the Williams drivers have showed up today, that's for sure. It's great to see. I think at the end of the day, one driver that I'm keeping an eye on is Sejoss here. That on those hard compound tyres, P6, big track position gained. He's on the harder compounded tyre. If he can stick with these medium runners, he's going to be a bolt towards the end of this race, because he's going to go to the soft compound tyres, where the other drivers are probably going to have to go to the hard. Well, they're going to have to go to the hards.
So we have another driver into the pits. That's Maxime B in that McLaren. Into the pit lane, presumably for a set of mediums. There they are. There's the McLaren crew, all smartly dressed in orange for the Papaya Orange McLaren team. Medium compound tyres, 20th now on the grid. He'll make his way back to the safety car queue before we'll get things back underway with some green flag running at the end of lap number 2. Despite what the timing tower says, this is the second lap of the race. I thought they said that they fixed this bug, Stars. Man can dream.
We can always dream, mate. We can always dream. Becky B, 2 out of the 3 last races, he's won by 30 seconds. Dare say that's not going to happen again. Especially when he's got a 5-second time penalty, which needs to serve in the pits when he does come in for those hard compound tyres. It's going to be very hard for him to win. But Holtz,
actually, that's
soft compound.
10 seconds on that Williams car now.
10 seconds. True. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. I can't add up
Yeah.
and count. See, that's a slight issue I've got there. Yeah, Holtzman, soft tires, leading the grid. Don't believe he's actually led a safety car restart this season. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's always interesting when a new driver takes a mantle of restarting a race, and obviously safety car is in this lap, so drivers' speeds will be locked. Obviously Holtzman will be bringing the crew around, I should say. It's going to be interesting. Is he going to be able to have a good restart? Nerves are going to be high. Heart's going to be pounding a little bit. I remember my first time. It certainly was. So.
Yeah, it's also a bit interesting for the drivers behind because when you know who's leading the safety car restart, you know sort of what is expected. And it looks like Holtz has pulled
Is
the
he
pin.
gone?
He's gone. He's gone extremely early, but he's certainly it's worked. It's worked. He's caught Rhapsody off guard. I mean, he's got an 8/10 gap back to Rhapsody already. He's trying to use those softs to good effect. And ladies and gentlemen, we are racing once again. And the two Williams cars a little bit further back behind on this restart, but it looks like everyone's gotten away fairly cleanly as they make their way into turn 1 to start lap. Well, this is lap number 4 now, so I might have just miscounted my laps, but we'll press on nevertheless. Lap 4 now in this race. Becky B making his way through turns number 4 and 5. We have an exchange there at the back between Larkino and Vischer. Vischer making his way past the Alfa Romeo driver on those fresher medium compound tires. And now Gorzieg next on his hit list. Yama staying very close to the back of his teammate. There's a little bit of a gap forming. Gorzieg already starting to struggle a little bit with pace. It looks like Gibson has made his way past Carmel as well. Those hard compound tires struggling to get fired up, struggling to get into that proper operating window. And then Vischer cutting the apex there of turn 8, looks like, but making the move nonetheless on the stricken Mercedes of Gorzieg. So Vischer in that AlphaTauri car now up into a points paying position and 2.2 seconds behind his teammate now. Yama still very, very close to the back of his teammate now, but another car is very close to the back of another. Maxime B really closing in on Max Senna. He's got the slipstream heading into turn number 11. Max Senna, he's trying to find a way past. He can't quite find a way past at the moment, Stars, but he is certainly putting that Red Bull under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, he's all over the back like a couple of other drivers. Will Gibson is all over the back of Larkino, and Larkino on Gorzieg. It's the fastest laps come through now. Becky B currently 132.8 on the medium compound tyres to start lap 5 at the moment. The gaps are extremely close. A lot of drivers here trying to make track position early, especially these medium compound tyres, runners who have got a big advantage over the hards at the moment.
Larkino's good going deep. This could give Will Gibson an opportunity. He's put that overtake on. He looks for the inside line, Stars. Into turn 3, about at the same time on the brakes, really cutting that inside curbing. But he'll get the move done, and that is the Renault driver up into 12th place.
Gets a job done there, just going into turn number 3. Next man on his hit list is Gorzieg, and he's already closing in. ERS engaged once more. Gorzieg is just relaxing at the moment with everything just not in full use, and Will Gibson makes a move on Gorzieg. That's P number 11. 2 moves in 2 corners. Well done out of the reserve Renault driver.
Yeah, he certainly came to play. He's already pulled 6/10 through the chicane. Carmel fairly close to the back of Larkino. It looks like Larkino might actually be using a little bit more of that battery to get away. Meanwhile, a little bit further up this grid, Cheery chasing down the McLaren of Cedros. There's an exchange between Max Senna and Giants 14 at the back into turn 11. The Rebel driver now making up another spot, but Cheery still trying to chase down this McLaren. Holtz still leading the way. Fastest lap, I believe, belongs to Rhapsody at the moment. DRS now enabled, and it's at this point, Stars, where those soft tyres are really going to be starting to hurt. Vischer with the fastest lap of the race so far. We're 1 minute 32.331 as we start lap 6 of this race. Gap still very, very tight. Larkino picking up a 3-second time penalty, as is Cappy through those first 2 corners. There's actually a lot of exchange in there. Larkino Losing a place to Carmel off of that exit. Tom Hawk looking up the rear of Cappy as well into turns 3, 4, and 5. Cappy taking a lot of that apex curbing. A little bit of a snap from the rear. Can Tom Hawk find the power that he needs, find the drive that he needs out of turn 6 and 7? The two Alpha Tower is exchanging positions now as well. Bishop moving ahead of BTFU. Might be a bit of team orders there. Cappy very close on the back of Larkino. Is he going to go for the dive? Not quite, but Larkino goes deep, missing the apex a little bit. This could open up the door all around the outside. Mexena making his move on Stryfium as well behind them in the battle for 17th place. Gorziag and Carmel making an exchange too. These guys are crazy.
Exchanges left, right, and center at the moment here. Yeah, there's been two exchanges in the last 4 drivers here. Obviously very tight, all within about 4/10 of each other at the moment. As we do see, Tomahawk is just currently all over the back of Cappy, really giving Cappy not a nice time at the moment. As Gorziag actually runs wide and Larkino sticks the nose in up the inside, can't get the move done. Rhapsody's also closing in on the back of Holtz and actually gets the move done before the braking zone, and that is into P1, the medium compound tyre runner, first in the queue now. Clean air, Becky B all over the back of Holtz as well. Holtz actually goes very wide there. Becky B's going to want to get this move done as quickly as he can. Looks like Holtz is going to have DRS on Rhapsody going into the second sector here, so could be a bit of a train forming. Obviously, Becky B's going to want to get this move done as soon as he can.
Yeah, but I don't think Holtz is going to make it very easy for him. He still does have that DRS, but it looks like Holtz a sitting duck compared to the straight line speed of that Williams car. He is through. Gibson picking up a 3-second time penalty now. Holtzman, sorry. Braking a little bit late, and that's going to compromise his run through the chicane. And now Yama is the next car trying to pass that Alfa Romeo, but a very, very crucial move from Becky B. He can't let Rhapsody get away, especially with the time penalties that he has accumulated throughout this race. He cannot afford to let this Mercedes get away.
No, he can't. He has to stay right on the back of him, keep within the 1 second here. He needs to let him pull him along and hope for maybe a safety car so he can serve this, serve at least one of his penalties. So he can try and get a bit of time.
Two Red Bulls going side by side through turn 11, Stars. Max Center on the inside. Cappy trying to hold it around the outside. Christian Horner really fidgety on that pit wall at the moment. Cappy, though, holding that position. The time penalties is already starting to come in. Holtz has picked up one as well. Maxime B, too. Max Center, though, is still trying to find his way past. And looks like Yama, speaking of getting past, has found his way past the Alfa Romeo. Now Zamis is next to try to get past this Alfa Romeo, who's really trying to extend those softs as long as he can. Zamis a very patient driver, though, and we know he will be able to get past in just the nick of time. Oh, look at the run that the Ferrari's got out of the final, well, turn 6, I should say. DRS wide open now. Holtz aggressively weaving over to the left-hand side to try and get that slipstream, but Zamis, he's not gaining enough. He's turned the overtake off. Is he going to be able to make the move, or is he... No, he backs out of it. Oh, but you can just see how much time he's losing through that chicane. Yama 1.1 seconds now off of his teammate. Becky B 4/10, the gap between the front two at the moment. But this is getting so tight now. Stryfium and Maxime B having a drag race now down the North Straight. And Giants 14 as well, having a look up the inside of the Ferrari. And he will make his way past. So Stryfium down 2 positions in 1 straight. Maxime, sorry, not Maxime B, Max Senna. The 2 Red Bulls go side by side against us, this time through turn 10. Cappy on the outside. Oh, they've blocked tires. The 2 Red Bulls are coming together. And Max Senna off into the wall at the runoff, and he is out of this race. Oh my goodness.
Kind of speechless there.
Yeah, the 2 Red Bulls have come together. Max Senna out of this race, the first retirement. Becky B looking up the inside of Rhapsody. Looks like we won't be getting a safety car for that incident. But Becky B now in lead of things. 1.5 tenths the gap between the two leaders at the moment. Rhapsody's so low on battery. Becky B has half of his battery left. Rhapsody cutting that apex curb of turn 3 yet again. So he was going to be racking up those warnings. But he's still penalty free at the moment, Stars. But Becky B, he's already pulled 5/10 through the turns 6 and 7. DRS, though, still available for the Mercedes driver. He's going to be able to use that to try and close the gap just a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. But speaking of what is going to be enough, Astrodite using that DRS to get past the AlphaTauri of Vischer, and he is now up into 8th place. And looks like BTF, you're having a little bit of a look on his teammate as well. He backs out of that one. Vischer much later on the brakes than his teammate, making their way through the turns 8 and 9 at the moment. And it looks like Astrodite has made that move stick and has pulled out a gap of about 5/10 as there's an exchange in the latter stages of the grid for P16 Maxime B making the move on Giants 14.
Yeah, it looks like Holtzman's probably going to be wanting to come into the pits relatively soon here. Normally soft hard lap window is 6 to 7 here, so I'm assuming he's going to be coming in. BTFU is also on 100% ERS, just on a side note there.
Yeah, so definitely looks like he might be getting a little bit held up from the cars in front. Larkino losing a position to Tomahawk through turn 10 that you saw on your screens a few moments ago, ladies and gentlemen. The battle for 13th place. Still a battle nonetheless. Looks like Vischer is still very, very close to the back of Astrodite, but Astrodite has managed to get himself DRS as well off of the Haas of Cheery. But Vischer using those mediums to good effect. You can see he's so close to the back of this Renault. 3/10 about is the gap, and Gibson picking up yet another 3-second time penalty. I do believe that might be his second or maybe even his third one this far this race, and we're not even halfway through yet, Stars.
Yeah, he's certainly racking them up at the moment. It is his second, so he's gone 6 seconds at the moment.
Astrodite using that DRS. Vischer unable to really make a dent in that gap down at the Nord Straight, I do believe it's called. But Astrodite, 3/10 now the gap. He's looking for the exit that he needs to really slingshot past the Haas driver. He's using that overtake. The gap is coming down. It's now 2.5 tenths, 1.5, 2 tenths. Oh my goodness, he's looking up the inside of turn 10. Cheery leaving him the room, and that is a clean pass there for Astrodite. The Renault driver now up into 7th place and chasing down Sejos. The McLarens and the Renaults having quite the rivalry, I do believe. Both the drivers knowing each other very, very well. Cheery is struggling a little bit to stay with the Renault driver. And Astrodite, he's on fire at the moment. He's already brought that gap just outside the 1 second mark. But crucially, he was inside at that detection point. And there's been a spin. It looks like Larkino has had an issue through turn 12 as well, Stars.
He did indeed, and Sejos gets the move done on Holt, so he needed to get that one done. It's on those hard tyres. He's put 4 seconds up the road to Zamis at the moment. These times between drivers are extremely close. The train has been formed as we do have an exchange for position as Maxime B goes flying past Scorsese into turn number 1. As we do have another one as well into turn number 1 is Cappy past Stryfium here. So this midfield to the rear of the grid is having a belter of a race at the moment, as we do have the 4 drivers who all coming on just past turn number 7 onto the Nord Straight, like you did mention, all with DRS here. Vischer is closing the gap, 2 tenths away from Cheery. He's not going to be close enough, but there is a move done. Astrodite gets it done on Holtz as well. Holtz obviously missing out on DRS there of Sejos. So yeah, these softs are certainly dying off for Holtzman at the moment. I'm not too sure what his game is, but he's
Zamis and Yama, sorry to just cut you off there. Zamis and Yama side by side through turn 10, now side by side again through turn 11. They're wheel to wheel starts, making their way through the double apex right hand, and Zamis still has his note and takes the inside line for turn number 12. Can he get this move done? Squeezing Yama all the way to the curbing, and yes, he can. The Ferrari up into the podium places, but Yama always having a look. Zamis has a little bit of a mistake heading into turn 14. Looks like the Williams driver will have that DRS going down the main straight. It's either this one's the North Straight and the other one's the Mistral Straight. I always get those two confused, Stars, but we'll play it by ear as we go. The little graphic on the right hand side. Pit window is now open for these guys on the medium compound tires. So does Yama go for the undercut if he's unable to get past Zamis? Looks like Colt's finally coming in off of those aging soft compound tires. 10 laps though, a very, very solid effort indeed. But what a battle that we're witnessing for this final podium place. 3-4 tenths is the gap between these two at the moment. Zamis, he's looking to carry that momentum that he had from Canada. He gets a great run out of turn 6, but is it going to be enough? Overtake and DRS and Slipstream as well. They're both very, very low on battery. You see that red light flashing from that Ferrari ahead. Zamis goes semi-defensive, heading into the braking zone of turn number 8. Massive lock up there for the Williams driver. 2.5 tenths, 3 tenths is the gap now. To overtake mode on once again. He's using that slipstream. He's gaining stars, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Through the flat-out right-hander of turn 10, Zamis had a little bit of a shake. Can Yama find the way through? No, he cannot. Zamis lives for another lap. Oh, and Vischer.
These drivers are...
Vischer going up the inside of turn 11. Sorry to cut you off yet against us, but these guys are not letting you under this commentary. And Vischer making a move up the inside of Churi. Now BTFU at the next one. Stars to try and make a move on that Haas driver.
Yes, as we do have Zamis, who's actually coming to the pits relatively early. He's going for that undercut at the moment as Striffium manages to get past Cappy as they go into turn at number 11 there. So a great move there by the Ferrari driver. So Zamis has gone onto the hards nice and early as BTFU is closing onto the back of Chiri going to turn number 1. Is he going to go for a send? They go side by side. He does get the move done. Chiri does back out a little bit early. So that is a position there for the Tauri driver. He needs to start making up a lot of time at the moment because he did lose a lot staying behind Vischer. He was caught in the train and on those hard compound tyres. He has lost a lot of time to Sejos actually, just up the road about by 4 or 5 seconds.
So crucially for these front runners, Zamis has come out on those hard compound tyres, currently sitting in 13th place, but he is going to the end. And he is in clean air. That is crucial. He is in clean air. These guys on the mediums do not have DRS to try and mitigate the grip deficit. So we have another exchange there between Carmel and Will Gibson, actually going side by side still through turns 8 and 9 stars. The Renault trying to look around the outside. It looks like he's gotten that move done. Unfortunately, we have a rev glitch for Carmel, so we'll go on the offboard. But the Haas driver looking up the inside. He backs out of it. But these two, there's nothing separating them at the moment.
No, they're really going for those last couple of points there. Will Gibson, obviously, red flashing light just below 7% ERS at the moment, as we do have Rapsy who decides to come into the pits now in response to Zamis. So it's going to give us a really good indication at the moment, as long as with Yamamoto, on where these drivers are going to be coming out in regards to Zamis.
Yeah, we have the those guys responding. We'll now go on board with the Ferrari driver, because I have a feeling this is going to be quite close, Stars. It really depends on how good this outlap has been. The Mercedes driver making his way down the pit lane. Where is he? It looks... Oh, he's right there, Stars. Zamis has the closing speed on the Mercedes, but it's not quite enough. Rhapsody has lived, but Yama, after serving that 5 seconds, has lost not just the position to Zamis, but he has to get through Larkino as well, and Larkino started on those hard compound tyres. So there's now a car between the two. Yeah, he's not going to make it easy.
Yeah. No, 100%. So Yama's he's going to be fighting uphill at the moment. Hopefully he can get himself back into this race here. One of the closing splits between drivers at the moment is still this battle for now. It's P number 6 as we've had a couple of drivers come into the pits. The second reserve driver today, as well as the new debut driver, or second race in, Karma this time does get the move done going to turn number 10. He isn't getting backing out this time, so that is putting himself into P number 6. So clean air now. He is roughly around about 6.5 seconds behind BTFU, but he did actually get very sideways coming out of turn 11 there, and Will Gibson really sends it up the inside there, but gets squeezed right out by Karma. So Karma lives to fight another day as well. Will Gibson actually goes really close to him coming out of turn number 14 there, nearly actually touches him. So it does compromise his exit and run through the last couple of corners.
Yeah, looks like having another driver in the pits. Looks like Becky B now making his way into the pits. Where is he going to come out in relation to these effective front two? And it's going to be quite a ways behind, it would seem. He's in clean air, though. And he certainly has the pace to catch up with those two. But still a 5-second time penalty looming over his head. Because there's an exchange now between Chiri and Holt. I do believe Chiri, unfortunately, has disconnected from the session. So hopefully able to get him an invite and back into the session sooner rather than later.
But who's closing in on Karma once again? It's Will Gibson. They're side by side. It's a drag race down into turn number 8 at the moment. Who's going to be the latest of the breakers? It is going to be Will Gibson. Gets the move done over Karma, but now Karma's got a better run through turn number 9, and here he comes once again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not over. These guys are going tooth and nail at the moment. And Karma again gets the move done going into turn number 10 with Will Gibson on 0% ERS. And yes, he did go for the switchback there, but Karma does close the door on him. So, well, these drivers are giving us a show today.
Lots and lots of action around Circuit Paul Ricard this evening, Stars, and I am absolutely loving it. And let us know in the chat if you're absolutely loving it as well. But it looks like both Seajoss and Aphrodite into the pits off of those hard compact tires to go to a set of mediums to the end of this race. But Vicious yet to pit off of those starting mediums. So Terry won 2.
Yeah, I think we should just end the race here right now. Mikhail, what do you reckon? Terry's 1-2. We'll take the points. But it's going to be interesting to see, will team orders come into play at the moment? BTFU, obviously, on those hard compound tires can run a little bit longer than Vischer. Is Vischer just going to make it nice and easy and let him pass on this DRS straight? We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Well, they're making their way now down to the back straight, and it looks like BT is going to have a very easy time passing his teammate well before the braking zone of turn number 8. Easy as you like. And I do expect that we'll be seeing all of the remaining medium runners, those being Vischer, Gibson, and Maxime B, head into the pits this lap. Let's put on a fresh set of
tires. Yes, I think so.
Unless they're going for the medium soft.
Maybe, potentially. Zamis is closing the gap on Rhapsody at the moment. Both quite low on ERS. The gap is now actually blowing out a little bit because Zamis had a poor run through 8 and a 9, but is still within DRS there. So I think Zamis is hungry for maybe a potential effective P1 on track.
Larkino making his way past Striffia down the back straight in this battle for 17th place. Those fresh medium compound tires doing the Alfa Romeo driver absolute wonders, making it look like a no contest between the two cars at the moment. And actually, no, it's BT into the pits.
Strange decision, but let's see how it plays. He's gone onto the medium compound tyres. Obviously, we'll be able to go to the end quite nicely, but I think he's taken, or as Becky B sets the fastest up at 132 flat, I think he's just taken advantage of maybe track position at the moment, but Vision needs to come into the pits, and he needs to come in quite soon, unless Mikau, he's going for the softs, maybe.
10 laps to go. He's made these mediums last this far. If he can make them last and maybe another 1 or 2 laps, it's certainly an option for him.
Yes, Zamis goes. Oh, Zamis is like... So, I can't even talk. He lost the car twice on exit out of turn number 7 there. Loses the position to Becky B. He lost it on the right side, then lost it on the left there. Actually had to basically get completely out of the throttle, and has, like I did mention, has lost the position to Becky B. Is in DRS though. Somehow it did pick up DRS from Rhapsody. But yeah, so Zamis has lost the position there. He has cooked those tyres a little bit as well. They're going to be quite warm.
Yeah, unfortunately we weren't able to catch that one on stream, but he was literally pushing Becky through turn 9. So he's certainly not done yet. He wants a good haul of points. Looks like BTFU very close to Astronaut. He's going to look around the outside of turn 11, Stars. This could get spicy. Astronaut holding that inside line, defends it very well. But BT, he is out for blood. He is looking at this Renault rear wing and saying, I don't want to see this for another second. Trying to find his way past the Renault at any possible moment that he can. Astronaut missing the apex of turn 14 slightly. Vischer has indeed pitted for those soft compound tires, but it looks like the undercut is going to be massive here, and looks like BT is going to make his way past the Renault driver into turn number 1, and that is P7 for the American.
Yeah, with ease. Chiri is closing onto the back of Holtz because he is coming back into the session here, no longer disconnected. Didn't get the move done into turn number 1, but it's going to be nice and close going into the DRS straight of the beginning of sector 2 here. So now that we've started to have these pit stops and people and all the drivers are coming back out, and we are having close battles once again.
Yeah, lots of drivers within that DRS range. Astronaut still sticking on to the back of BTFU. Zamis as well, doing well to stay with our current championship leader, Becky B. Currently 9/10 is the gap, but it looks like he's really having to use a lot of that battery to stay within that 1 second mark. Cheery, about 3 to 5 tenths between himself and Holt at the moment. Just looking for another close gap on the track. Looks like it's Larkino gaining on Gauzier. I don't know if he's gaining enough to really make a dive into turn number 8, but he's certainly bringing that gap down by a significant margin, Stars. And he might actually get the run out of turn 9. And it looks like those mediums are giving him so much more grip out of the turn number 9. Just look at the drive on that Alfa Romeo, easily past the Mercedes into turn number 10. And from real life, that's not something you get to say very often, Stars.
No, definitely not. As Karma comes into the pit, so I dare say he's going to be going on with the soft compound tyres. Be interesting to see where he comes out. I think at this rate he's going to be coming out closer P number 15 at the moment. So tyre strategy hasn't really worked for him. Vischer is into P number 8 at the moment on the soft tyres. He has actually taken 1.4 seconds out of Aphrodite, who's just up the road. So looks like he's going to get the move done on these two drivers and hopefully push his way up the grid a little bit more. But interesting to see if the tyre life is going to be able to handle it all the way towards the end of the race.
Cheery still staying very close to the back of Holtz. Looks like Carmel has come out in the other half 3-4 tenths behind Maxime B on those fresh soft compound tyre, Stars. That is scary. We saw how much pace he had last week in Canada, and he's certainly not disappointing there. Looks like he's actually going for the move. Easy as you like. DRS, a little bit of overtake there as well. Into turn 8, up into 12th place. Will Gibson next on his hit list, but you see at the bottom right hand side of your screens, ladies and gentlemen, that yellow fuel light is on, so he is currently negative on fuel at the moment. But we'll have a quick look up for this battle for 9th place. Cheery so close to the back of Holtz, and Holtz, he can feel it. He can feel it in the cockpit of that car. Just another 9 laps, and this could be his first points of the season, Stars.
Yeah, he's going to be wanting these points, that's for sure. Like I did mention, he wants to turn around at the moment, so he's going to be holding on for dear life. As Vischer, there you go, that's the fastest at 130.0, and Cheery, as easy as he like before the start-finish straight, gets the move done on Holtz. So Holtz is into P number 10, and Karma gets the move done on Will Gibson as well. So, and that was also before the start-finish straight. So we do have a lot of drivers now really starting to come through the grid. The soft compound tyres are just absolutely blistering at the moment. Speaking of Vischer, he is 3 tenths behind Aphrodite going through turn number 6 into turn number 7. Overtake is engaged with DRS open. Randy second right now is closing in onto the back of Aphrodite. He has had the better run here at the moment, side by side. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers here? Vischer does get the move done. It does look like he has all that better traction and turn in as well on Aphrodite. So now he's after his teammate BTFU.
Yeah, you can just see the drive that he got out of turn 6 and 7. And the drive yet again out of turn 9. Aphrodite can't find an answer just to the raw grip that those fresh soft compound tyres have. But my worry, Stars, is that come the end of this race, those tyres are going to drop off because he's pushing that car hard. Same with Carmel down in 11th place. They're both pushing those cars extremely hard. So they have to be at least a little bit concerned about their tyre life at the end of the race. But Holtz still staying very close to the back of Cheery, mounting that apex curbing at turn 12. Striffier making a pass on Cappy. We'll have a quick look at the Ferrari driver. Striffier having a little bit of a tighter line through turn 10, but it looks like he's been able to hold off the Red Bull driver, and might I say, an absolute disastrous weekend or event for the Red Bulls in this one, especially for the Americas division.
Yeah, Christian's going to be wanting to walk away from this one, that's for sure, as quickly as he can. He's not going to be happy with this result. He's going to have not a good journey back to Milton Keynes, I don't believe. But Karma is closing the gap on to Holt at the moment, as well as Vischer. So Vischer now has DRS on his teammate at the moment. He isn't using ERS, but is, like you did mention, the fuel light is on, so he's negative. So he's probably just going to be relaxing him for a quick moment. So you do jump back on board with Karma, who is very close, 1/10 away, but Holtz, who's got a lot more ERS and is in within DRS of Cheery, who's actually closing in very quickly to the back of Cheery. All positions are held at the moment, so these drivers are in this little bit of a loop stage. But actually, Karma gets a great run through turn number 9 at the moment. He's using every last bit of energy deployment out of that Haas car, and he does get the move done into turn number 10, and it's actually closing onto the back of Cheery at the moment. So if he has this turn in which we've been talking about with these fresh softs, he might be able to actually go for a dive into turn number 13, but he does seem to have better over. But actually, Cheery runs very wide here, so he's going to have a better run, as we do have a change for position of Holtz and Will Gibson at the back as well, just right behind. Actually misses the apex, and Maxime actually sends it up the inside there on the medium tyres. They're side by side going into turn number 15 here. Got a great view on board at the back of Will Gibson, and Maxime B gets the move done. Karma is side by side at the moment with Cheery and gets the move done going to turn number 1.
Holtz actually just got robbed. I think that was 4 places in the space of 2 sectors.
Yeah, that is the definition of getting mugged off in Formula 1, I do believe, Mikhail.
Now, something we haven't really talked a lot about, but something that has been happening. Becky B. 3/10. It wasn't 3/10 before, but it's 3/10 now. 6 laps to go, or 5.5 laps to go. Both of these drivers very, very low on battery. They're actually both on 5%. But Slipstream, raw pace, these two, been battling it out. This could be very, very explosive at the end. I don't know, maybe the stewards might be able to remove that 5-second penalty that Becky B has as well. So this could be quite spicy towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I think the stewards will be taking away that 5-second penalty that Becky B has picked up. So yeah, like you did mention, with 5 laps to go, 5 tenths, and also 5 tenths back to Zamis as well, who's got a 3-second time penalty, I believe. So yeah, it's going to be coming right down to the wire, this one.
God forbid if any of these drivers get a penalty now. I mean, Zamis already has one. We'll have a quick look at the penalties actually while we are in this little bit of a lull. Yeah, so Becky B has that 5 seconds. Zamis with 3, Vischer with 3, Gibson on 9, Maxime B on 3, Holtz on 6, Giants 14 on 9, Larkino on 3, and Cappy in last place on 6. There's actually been an exchange now between the McLaren and the Renault. They're going at it again, side by side through turn 2. Maxime B pushing Gibson off the track. That's going to be a warning, a little bit of a bang with the side pods. They're still side by side starts going into turn 3. The Renault barging his way past the McLaren, but I think it might have been a little bit too soon. It looks like Will letting Maxime back through. These guys are tossed, switching back left, right, and center. Looks like Maxime B ahead at the detection point. So Gibson will have that DRS going down the back straight. Maxime B squeezing him all the way to the left-hand side. And Cheery has the best seat in the house for this, has the popcorn all to himself. But looks like Gibson making his way past the McLaren into turns 8 and 9. Cheery looking for the run that he needs. 2 tenths of the gap, but it's also 1.5 tenths of the gap between Maxime and Gibson into turn 10. Looks like Gibson is a little bit shaky there, but he defends that position very, very nicely indeed. Maxime thought about to look up the inside of the second apex of turn 11, but it isn't quite going to be enough. But he can't relax for long because Cheery is right there behind him, and Holtz as well. Despite the penalties he may have, he is still hungry. He wants to get as far up this grid as he can, Stars.
Yeah, he's really pushing as hard as he can there. I'm just jumping on board at the moment for the battle for P number 5. The Tauris have closed in a 3-second gap, which they had onto Yamamoto at the moment. And a little bit further up there, Becky B's really struggling in terms of traction out of the corners here, but he's got a lot of closing speed, obviously using all that ERS and DRS to close into the back of Rhapsody. Is this the time he's going to go for it? He might be going for it side by side into the braking zone. They're literally side by side through turn number 8, and they have a bang of tyres there. Becky B gets a little bit sideways, and actually Rhapsody pushes him right off the track, and Zamis here with a better run. Actually, Becky B has to let off because he got an illegal overtake on Rhapsody there, and Zamis goes into P number 1.
Absolutely stolen, but it's not over yet. Rhapsody, he has that fuel light on as well. Very low on battery. To lap 24 of 27, ladies and gentlemen. 3 laps to go. Zamis losing the rear a little bit at the exit of turn 11, but he's able to keep that car under control. But I don't know if he's going to be able to pull that 3 seconds that he needs. Becky B, very close to the back of him still. There's fights happening all over this grid. There's a 1/10 gap between Will Gibson and Maxime B for that final points position as well, making their way through turn 11 at the moment. But we can't take our eyes off of these front 3 And crucially as well, Sejos, he's not that far behind on the fresher medium compound tyres. If these guys continue to fight as hard as they are, we might be seeing a McLaren on the podium, stars. Becky B, 1/10 in it between himself and Rhapsody. These two have been going at it all race long. Lap 25.
BTFU.
Oh no.
BTFU was sitting so nicely. He's catching on the back of Yama every single lap, and he just picked up 3 seconds for his troubles there. So that's really going to impact his race towards the end, as Becky B is really closing into the back of Rhapsody at the moment. Literally down to 1% ERS. Rhapsody on the 5% ERS. Is Becky B? No, Becky B does back out of that.
He's cut it.
Smart option there.
He's cut it. He's
picked up 3 seconds.
He's picked up turn 8. That's 3 seconds, and that, my friends, is definitely not going to get removed after the end of this race.
No, definitely not. BTFU managed to get past Yama. Astrodite managed to get past Visho, both going into turn number 8. BTFU has got 3 laps to get a 3-second lead over Yamamoto, and he's actually flying. He's got it up to 5 seconds already out of 1 corner. As we do have a tussle as well. Will Gibson and Maxime B still going at it. These two are going literally hammer and tong at the moment. Wouldn't want to be down in P number 10 at the moment, battling for 1 point out of this French GP. Becky B is all over the back of Rhapsody at the moment, going to turn number 14, getting set up for turn number 15. It's going to be a drag race, I think, here, Macau.
2 laps. 2 laps is all that remains in this French GP. Lap 26 of 27. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, grab your drinks on this Tuesday evening, because we are in for a real cracker of a show for these final 2 laps. The final sprint to the line. The gap still 1.5 tenths between Becky B and Rhapsody. He's cut the apex of turn 3 again. Rhapsody has been able to keep it fairly clean. He's the only one of these top 3 penalty free at the moment. Sejos, he's in DRS range. He's in DRS range as well.
3 seconds as well. That's Astrodite's gone. His chances on a P5 finish is now all over.
Becky B overtake using all the battery that he has left in that tank. Look at the inside of the Mercedes. He's tapped him. He's lost the rear. Sejos. He can see the Williams struggling to put the power down. 3 tenths is the gap between these two. Can we see a McLaren on the 2nd step of the podium tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Leave your predictions in the chat with 1 sector and a lap to go. Zamis leading them away on track. 4 tenths is the gap between himself and the Mercedes to Rhapsody. Becky B, 8 tenths now after that little bit of a failed overtake attempt. Sejos is right there in it. BTFU, he's closing as well, but he has his own issues with a second Williams car of Yama right behind him.
Yeah, he's got a 3-second time penalty there, so it looks like he's going to be demoted down into P at number 6 at the end of this race here. But with 1 lap to go, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it comes down to. The Ferrari driver begins the final lap of the race with a 6/10 lead over Rhapsody here. He does look like the quicker driver. Becky B in 3rd. It's closing in onto the back of Rhapsody as they go through turn number 1, turn number 2. Drivers are extremely close. Sejos has lost a little bit of time through the 1st sector here at the moment so far, as Becky B thinks about going down the inside here. Just shows the nose on Rhapsody here. Rhapsody's he's too smart for that one there as they go into the DRS zone.
Batteries are even.
They all are going to have detection at the moment.
The batteries are dead even as well, stars. This is going to be down to setup and pure driving skill. The last DRS zone of the lap before we make our way into the main straight for the last time. Becky B not close enough to make the move. Not close enough to make the move. Sejos is doing very well to stay with the back of that Williams. He's using everything left in that tank, but it's not going to be enough. Zamis will lead them into the final sector of the race. Into turn 11, the Ferrari goes. Becky B, 1/10 in it between himself and Rhapsody, going through turn 11 now. Here they go, putting on the power into turn 12. Maxime B's picked up a penalty as well down there in 11th place, but we can't take our eyes off of this fight for what could be the race lead. Becky B looking for any way past this Mercedes. He can't find it. 1 corner to go. He goes. He looks up the inside. Rhapsody defending the outside. It's not going to be enough. Zamis will cross the line first, but with the penalty, it will be Rhapsody taking the race win here. And Sejos, P2. Sejos P2 for the McLaren squad. Zamis will round off the podium. Yama down into... will finish in 4th place. BTFU in 5th, Astrodite in 6th, and Becky B all the way down into 7th. 7th place.
And all these drivers are coming over the line right now from 10th all the way back to 15th. It's got nothing in it. Unfortunately, no one's going to be able to get a move done as they all cross the line here. But all the penalties, Tomahawk goes up, I think, 5 positions there. Actually steals 1 point away. And Holtzman, with the penalty there, drops down into P number 13, unfortunately.
What an explosive end to this French oh my goodness, Grand Prix. I'm lost for words at the moment, Stars. Gauzier coming across the line in 17th place. Strifium in 18th, and Cappy will round off this grid. I do believe he's actually disconnected. So...
Yes, he has.
Yeah, but...
Sounded like a bit of French coming out of you, mate. You enjoyed it that much, a bit of Jean.
Yeah, the Jean Prix, right? The Jean Prix. But what a race. What a race.
That was amazing. I think that's probably the best race we've seen in the Americas division.
It's certainly up there. Like, nothing comes to mind straight away that was more entertaining than that one. Rhapsody picking up the top step of the podium. He was able to keep it clean. I'm curious to see how many warnings he had for those track limits at the end. We saw him cut turn 3 at least once. But Sejos, oh my goodness, he came and absolutely stole that runner-up spot.
I think Sejos could be potentially on for a win here, Macau, because there was that moment where Rhapsody actually did kind of push Becky B off the track there. So I don't know. There could, I don't know. A bit of post-race stewarding could be coming into effect.
Yeah, well, as it stands, Rhapsody taking the win from 7th on the grid to take 25 points in this French Grand Prix. Sejos from 13th to 2nd. What an amazing drive from him. 13th to 2nd from Sejos. Absolutely stellar drive. Kept it clean. Zamis as well from 12th to 3rd. Solid effort there as well. And Yama will round off the top 4. BTFU from 19th to 5th place at the end of this one. Aphrodite 20th to 6th as well. Those 2 back row starters showing the power of the alternate strategy. 7th place for Becky B after some penalties. Just didn't quite have as much pace as we're used to seeing from her. Visha will take home that 8th place with the fast lap at 1:30.005. Carmel, the Argentinian, making his way into 9th place, and Tom Hawk will pick up the final point for the Racing Points squad. Chiri, the Spaniard, in 11th place for the Haas team from 15th on the grid. Maxime B will lead Holtzman, who was looking so good for so long to pick up his first points, but just didn't quite happen on this occasion, or maybe in Austria in a couple of weeks' time. Gibson on his MRL debut, finishing 14th for the Renault squad in a reserve capacity. Giants 14 right behind him in 15th. Larkino in 16th for Alfa Romeo. Gorzieg in 17th. Strifium in 18th. Cappy in 19th, the last of the classified runners. And Max Senna, the only driver to be, to not finish this race after a collision with his teammate at turn 10. But Stars, just any words to describe that French race right now?
The only thing I'm thinking about, Macau, is just goes to show how strong that alternative strategy is. I did call it at the beginning. I said Sejos on those hard compound tires, obviously with the little bit of the kerfuffle we had at turn number 1 and turn number 2 at the start of the race there, made up his positions. And yeah, what a great effort by the McLaren driver there. But just so exciting, that race. Just really unbelievable out of all drivers there. Great battling across the field. And you saw it everywhere. It wasn't just P number 1, wasn't P number 5, midfield. It was everywhere. And it's great to see. And most of it was really clean racing as well. These drivers got a lot of respect for each other. But great to see some fresh faces on the podium. I don't think we've spoken to Rhapsody in a little while, so it's going to be good to catch up with him there.
Well, certainly a voice that has really impressed these past 2 weeks. Zamas P2 in Canada, now a P3 here in France, and leading the race on track. Just run us through those final, 10 laps or something like that. Absolutely crazy with you, with Becky B, with Rhapsody, who we'll be hearing from in a few moments' time.
Yeah, me and Rhapsody were just talking. Like, when he came out of the pits in front of me and we knew we had kind of undercut Becky, like, I was pushing so hard trying to push Rhapsody into a penalty. And then, unfortunately, I pushed myself into 2 warnings and 1 lap and a penalty the next lap. Or else that was mine, man. That was mine. But those guys, man, they were fast. It was a good race. I was just trying to keep my head down the last couple laps. And the last 10 laps, like you said, and I was just trying to force them into a penalty.
Yeah, just run us through that moment where you overtook both Rhapsody and Becky B. They had a bit of a coming together at turn 8 or 9. I forget exactly what lap it was, but you just absolutely took that to full advantage and stormed your way through that. How was the heart rate at that moment in the race, Zamus?
Yeah, I know that corner, when you come out of that corner, like it's so hard to get traction over that curb. So as soon as I saw my rear tire clear the curb and I saw them bump each other, I started burning whatever ERS I had. It's hard to save around here. So, as soon as I saw them bump, I threw it into Rich. I threw the RS down. I was like, I'm going to split them.
Well,
Which you
very,
did.
very nice. Very nice job indeed. A week off next week for Easter, but Austria in a couple weeks' time. Are we going to see you for a third race in a row?
I like Austria. These tracks are some of my favorites, so I'm hoping for another podium.
Oh, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Zamus, 3 races in a row on the podium. Well, congratulations on your third place finish. We'll let you celebrate with your wonderful Tifosi. I'm sure they'll be very, very happy, as well as your teammate will be very, very happy to see you on the podium once again. So congratulations again, Zamus.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
We will now hear from the P2 man, and one that seems to, at least from my eyes, completely have stolen that second place from keeping it clean and keeping it out of trouble. Before I hand it off to Stars for this interview, Sejos, welcome, and what a performance, mate. Stars, take it away.
Sejos, congratulations, sir. Really good effort there. P2, potentially maybe P1, depending on what happens post-race there. I haven't seen you on the podium before. Run us through the last couple of laps there when you knew that you had a really good shot. Obviously, the top guys were battling in front of you. You were about 1.5 seconds behind. What was going through your mind then?
Well, I knew coming into my second stint that I would be able to have better pace on against the hards, and once I pulled out of Yama's DRS, I just knew that I had nothing to really lose, so I just pushed as hard as I possibly could. Then all 3 of them started fighting, which kind of brought me into the equation, and then I kept it clean with no penalties throughout the entire race, and knew that if I just stayed within that the needed gap with the penalties, that I'd be able to jump up a lot in position, and took what was given to me.
It was really good. At the end of the day, you really showed a lot of class here, kept it clean, the optimal strategy. When you did cross the line there, was it a sense of relief, or was it like, oh, I wish we had a couple more laps here because I feel like I could have moved myself a little bit higher up the grid?
It was a little bit of both, because at that point I was at 2 warnings, and that first little chicane is notorious for catching drivers out with warnings. So
Of course.
I think it was kind of just a sense of relief that it's over, and not really much else to say on that one, other than, I don't know, it would have been cool to see those guys up front battle it out for one more lap, because that was really that was intense with them 3 up there.
That it was, Sejos. That it was. Well, enjoy your break, sir. Hope to see you again in the commentary booth when you hopefully get a podium around Austria, sir.
Yeah, of course. See you guys. Thank you.
See you, mate.
We'll now hear from our race winner, Rhapsody. Congratulations on those 25 points, but man, oh man, did you have to work for them. Just run us through just that entire battle with not just Becky B, but Zamus as well, and Sejos wasn't too far behind you guys. So how was that race from your perspective there in the Mercedes?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Fuck, finally. Well done. That was what a fucking race. Becky B was pushing too hard, too hard. Every strafe he was pushing. I cannot overtake Zamus anymore. I I just told him I cannot overtake you since Becky B was making me waste every airs I had. I think on the last 3 or 4 laps, I just had like 5, 6, or 7 airs, not more than that. And I think on the first virtual safety car, Becky B had a penalty touching me by behind. I just relieved the throttle, and he just touched me by behind. And I don't think what what happened with him Yama that they had a penalty, but I swear that helped me a lot. Becky B was freaky fast as always, and I had to work a lot to have it. I was not pushing that hard at the end, but uh, I had 2 warnings, and I know if I had another warning, it was almost win. So I was taking care. I was not pushing my 100%, and yeah, oh, hell boy, that's it.
Yeah, certainly a long time coming. Certainly have shown a lot of pace throughout the first half of the season. Have a break week next week, but Austria 2 weeks time from today. How are you feeling for Austria? And do you think that this is the step, the motivation that you need to really take that fight in the championship to those two Williams drivers?
I feel I could have a win like 2 races, at least 2 races in the first half of the season. So uh, I'm not so good on Paul Ricard circuit. On French GP, I'm not so good. I was not expecting such a great pace, but the strategy paid off. I was preferring the soft starting on soft tires, but they paid off starting on medium tires.
Oh, it certainly did.
And by Austrian GP, yeah, I just love the circuit. I hope I can fight at last for a podium or a win. Let's see. I'm sure Becky B will be very angry for this race.
Yes, you're going to have a very, very angry American in that Williams car hunting you down. Well, congratulations once again, and we hope to see you here in the interview room very, very soon.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Stars. Have a nice weekend, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today. Stars, any closing remarks before we end off the stream here this evening?
I mean, I feel like I say it every week, Macau. America's really gives us something to talk about. So looking forward to Austria. Hopefully everybody else is, and can't wait to see you all there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the results post-race with some of those penalties. But Becky B, he'll be fuming after that one if he holds on to that 7th place. Definitely looking to bounce back strong in Austria in a couple weeks' time. Just a quick note from me. Firstly, a big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing, !NLR in the chat and the panels below if you're looking to take your sim racing experience to the next level with some great sim rigs, great value, and some great quality as well. So !NLR in the chat or the panels down below. And also be hyped up for this Saturday as F1 action is back. And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. The Endurance Series for 2021 is back. We will be going 57 laps around the Bahrain International Circuit on Saturday, and looking at the sign-ups, there is a lot of interest. It's been a lot of fun last year doing the Endurance Series, and myself, Stars, we actually did Bahrain last year, and it was a lot of fun. So be sure to check out the Discord and open up your Saturday evenings for some really great action around Bahrain. But that's all from us here this evening. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. GMT or 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for you, those of you on the East Coast of the US or Canada, for Tier 2 action as those drivers take on the Circuit Paul Ricard. That's all from us today, and Stars and I will see you in 2 weeks' time when we are back with the Americas division around Austria.